Ira, you're in the right spirit, my man. That's so well done. I got nothing. As soon as we finish this show, I'm racing to where my kids are trick or treating. At least you have a pumpkin ready to roll.
I'm the pumpkin head. It's not the first time I've been called pumpkin head.
Oh man, welcome into the Sunday Smash. Thanks guys for joining us. This is at the outset here. I do want to tell you it'll probably be an abbreviated version of the Sunday Smash. The neighborhood I live in, not far from where Ira lives in, is going to get crazy here shortly. I already saw kids out and about. So that means that the door will be knocking soon and the dogs will be going nuts, which makes it tough. Plus, I got to get out and actually do some trick-or-treating with my youngest. So we do have a mute hammer here if my dogs start barking. I did do the grumpish thing here and turn off all the lights and try to make it as uninviting as possible. Like, no, not for this hour. You guys can come later. We're not coming right now. You can't come on here right now. But
you might get egged. If you were my neighborhood when I was a kid, you might have got some retribution, a little trick for that treat.
I hope not. I mean, it's for good reasons. Well, listen, let's welcome everybody in. I think people are probably shaking that one off. That's so tough. Happy Halloween, everybody. Ira, I'm glad you made it back safely. I'm sure it was an interesting trip. You know, that was a game that Florida State very well could have won. And I would say, you know, I've had some time to think about it. I've watched it again, and I was locked in the first go around. I would say rather improbably to some degree, Florida State had a chance to win that game. I didn't really feel like in that moment that they had done enough to be in a position to win the game, but there it was for the taking, thanks to the strip sack touchdown. And unfortunately, this is not a team that if they get down can really engineer a game, a passing offense. It's something that we've got to get better at. And you know, hey, I still think there's been real progress here. I'm not as downtrodden today as a lot of people are.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about it is I'm with you. I mean, I felt like when Jermaine Johnson got that sack, and then when they got a 3 and out, I thought, man, I mean, they're going to steal this, and that's what it felt like it to me. If Florida State had won the game, they would have stole the game. I mean, you wouldn't give it back. You'd be happy to take it, and teams have done that to you, so you certainly wouldn't complain about it. But it wasn't like Florida State was the better team. I didn't think.
No.
And they made a bunch of individual plays and got some help. Clemson with the missed kicks that gave them a chance to steal it. And then Jermaine Johnson makes a play of a lifetime to possibly steal it. And you couldn't come through with it. So to me, the point you just made about the passing game, that was the point you made during the week. The reason you picked Clemson to win the game was because yes, Pitt was able to beat Clemson. If you could throw the football, I think you can beat Clemson.
And you can make it pretty honest.
Yeah, you can. But Florida State couldn't do that. The first touchdown Florida State scored, it was it was a really good drive. But the Clemson, even when Florida State went with an empty backfield, Clemson was like, "Screw you! We don't believe you can throw the football, and we're just going to still stack the box, and we're not going to let Jordan Travis run the football." And they proved to be right. I mean, Florida State couldn't, between the pass protection, the receiver. I mean, it's the same story. It's been the same story all year. The pass protection, the receivers, and this quarterback. Florida State's not going to beat you with the pass if you sell out to stop the run, especially if you can do it the way Clemson did it.
Yeah, I feared that would be the look, and I don't get it right all the time. I got the North Carolina game really wrong, so there's no reason for me to gloat. But that game actually did, Ira, go exactly as I expected it to. In fact, it was almost 24-13. I almost got the score right. When it was 17-13 late, I was like, man, I don't want to get this right. I do not want to get this right. I thought Clemson was going to go down and score, and next thing you knew, it would be 24-13. But, listen, they're limited in so many ways. And I don't want to put this solely on Jordan Travis, but he's very limited too as a passer. And so, I think that they've reached their ceiling with what they can do in terms of running the offense that they run, and they run it well. But you're going to face a couple of teams on your schedule that can straight up take it away. And Jordan Travis, I thought in order for Florida State to win the game would have to be the MVP. I thought he'd have to run a lot. I thought he'd have to make some plays we haven't really seen him make this year through the air. And it just didn't happen. You look at Florida State's run success. If you look at the advanced metrics, it's pitiful. If you look at just your traditional stats, even there, I know they factor in sacks, but it's still around 1.9 yards per rush. I mean, they didn't run the ball effectively against Clemson at all. They had a couple little moments here and there. But I thought the defense deserved a better fate for the most part. It was not pass interference on Kevin Noles. It's a bullshit call, but that happens and that hurts because that kid played it well. But I thought they deserved a better fate. When you're holding Clemson at home for stretches of 3 or 4 series in a row where they go 3 and out, and you keep giving the ball back to your offense to give them a chance, I would have liked to have seen us reward that. So, but I was encouraged. There were no crazy busts. You don't see this team. This team doesn't look in any way sort of lacking in terms of competitive edge or even intelligence. I know there were 9 penalties, and that's a little frustrating. But I would say that on the whole, I think they play hard and they continue to play together, and I think they are getting better, period.
Yeah, and on the offense, and I know, again, just judging from some of the responses from people, on social media and people texting me and message boards and stuff was, complaining about the play calling, complaining about not, sticking with the running game. I just felt like they didn't think they could run it, and
Clemson proved they couldn't.
Yeah, statistics kind of, bear that out. And again with Jordan, it's not like he was terrible throwing the football, but there were some throws that like the third down throw to Keyshawn. I mean, it's just if it's catchable, you got a chance. And then there were some other throws that he looked like he didn't want to make, like he didn't trust himself, or he didn't feel like he could make the throw or whatever, or didn't want to take a chance. And you have to be better than that. You have to make those plays when they're there. So and I'm not putting on Jordan. I'm just saying that the biggest mismatch to me, and I didn't give it enough credit probably going into the game, was Clemson's defensive front and Florida State's offensive line. I thought Florida State's offensive line would maybe hold their own a little bit better. I think tackles weren't bad, but up the middle they really had a tough time. But if you look at it, player for player, I mean, Clemson's got studs on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
And Florida State's got an offensive line that they're making work with. And again, this isn't to put any of these guys down individually, but Devontae Love-Taylor was at FIU 2 years ago. Dylan Gibbons was not playing at Notre Dame, and he was banged up. He didn't practice all last week. And then your other guys are all redshirt freshmen: Maurice Smith, Robert Scott, Darius Washington. Those guys have never played in a game like that, and they're going up against dudes who have played in like national championship playoff games. I mean, they've got 4 or 5-star dudes across that defensive front, guys who played in huge moments. And I think because Clemson has not played that well this year, there's this perception that they're not a very good football team. Man, that's a tall task for that offensive line against that defensive front. Now you be the play caller that figures it out. So that's why I don't put too much blame on the play calling or Jordan Travis, because that's a huge mismatch to deal with.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with play calling. I think at some point you're just exacerbated by your limitations. There's not a lot you can call if you're going to lose one-on-one matchups, which I thought they would going into this game. I didn't think they could win their one-on-one matches, especially not up front on the offensive line versus that defensive line. At some point, it becomes as simple as this: if you can't block them, you can't win. And I feel like that was a big part of this. I would also say that it's such a fine line to on the one hand. If Jordan Travis isn't on this team, they don't have the wins they have.
Right.
If they don't find that identity and he doesn't play with reckless abandon again like he finally did, once he started playing that way, you could see they were emboldened and infused with confidence. Then they had something they could fall back on. It got them their 3 wins. And so that's awesome. On the other hand, to get where they want to go, I don't think he can be your quarterback. Now, people may disagree with that. I'm not saying bench him. He's your best player right now. You got to keep playing him. But I do think that's why when I get into these arguments with Corey, I'm recruiting over him, or I'm finding a transfer that can throw the ball consistently. Now, maybe it's Jordan continues to get better and you bring in Duffy and you're able to, put Duffy as a backup in year 1 as a redshirt. And then by year 2, he's ready to go. I don't know. But I do think you're going to always have some limitations in the passing game. Now, if you can start to block it up more consistently with the 3 guys you named, then you have a possibility, A, of progressing in the passing game, and B, adding on to what you're calling. Right now, they're very limited in what they can call. So, we'll see. I mean, I'm here for the journey. I do think the team's improving. Without question, they are. Yeah. But I also think that there are limitations, real limitations, both because of the offensive line, the lack of real depth of talent at wide receiver, and then Jordan's limitations as a passer.
The other thing I was going to say about the offense, again, that the penalties coming back are not too surprising when you consider, how many of those guys have never played in that kind of a situation before, in that kind of environment before, and they're getting manhandled up front. So that's how you get false starts. I mean, it's not guys just like rocking back because they can't stay in a stance. It's trying to get a little bit of an edge because they know that dude coming across is faster than they am and probably stronger than they am, and they're trying to get to that spot and trying to. So that's what happens. And now when you get it at wide receiver or something like that, that's a completely different thing. But when you get it on the offensive line or tight end, I mean, a lot of times it's that situation. It's like bad snaps from a center. When a center has bad snaps, usually it's because, man, he's got a 320-pound menace lined up in front of him that he's trying to snap it and get engaged with, and that affects the snap. So, it's not surprising. But what that did, though, is that further hurt, their play calling ability, Jordan Travis's ability, and the ability to run the ball when you get those 1st and 15s, and again, in that kind of environment.
Yeah, it's every year is unto itself. People are bringing up the fact that Clemson had a lot of guys out. That defense has still got a ton of guys. And as Ira's pointing to, most of their other problems are up front on the offensive line. And I thought for a good portion of this game, this defensive line for Florida State held up. I do think you see the difference in talent on these two rosters. So if I tell you you're going on the road with a 3-star roster going against a 4.5, 5-star roster, and you've got the lead with 3 minutes to go in the game, you'd feel pretty good about that. I think you would. So I think there's real progress there. Again, they've got to get better players in here, and they've got to continue to develop the ones they do have that we've identified in this little run that can play. We're no longer worried about whether effort's going to be there. We're no longer worried about whether or not they're together or they believe or they're willing to work hard or defend one another or fight. No, that's gone. We were talking about those things for a while. For the better part of 2-3 years, we've been talking about things like that don't allow you to develop, that don't allow you to become a good football team, because you have all this other bullshit that has nothing to do with the play on the field that you're trying to get right. Well, that's been righted. Now you just got to get better players in here and continue to develop the few that you've identified. I say more than a few. The handful of guys that you've been able to identify this year that can play, and they're going to be here for you moving forward. Thanks, Khalil. We appreciate the contribution to what we're doing, buddy. We do have to recruit our way out of this. I agree with you. That is a point I've been making for a while. I also think this, Ira, coming out of this game, it will be important for Florida State to back this game up with that effort, with more good efforts, including one against NC State and 100%. Miami. They have an opportunity here to continue to show growth. That loss can't beat them twice. You can't let that game beat you twice. You have a chance to win a game against a kind of a banged-up NC State team. Miami has found a way to rebound. They've continued to effort their way out of some of the problems they have with a nice win against Pitt. So you're going to have to show up, trap them up, and play ball. But you have 2 games there that are at home. Boston College is a mess right now. So, there's some winnable games. You could win 2-3 more games here and feel very good about how this season ended up. Or you could go south off of this loss and feel really frustrated about the way that it happened and turn around and lose a couple more, and all of a sudden you have bad taste in your mouth going into the offseason for sure.
Yeah, and going back to Khalil's point, there's been some follow-up comments in the chat about it. I do think that, people can say, oh, well, Clemson was out 14 guys or 18 guys, or they've had all these injuries too. That's true, 100% true. Nobody's denying that. But when you look at what Clemson has been assembling in terms of talent over the last 10 years, but certainly the last 4 or 5 years of what is applicable right now, they've been one of the top 10 recruiting classes every year for the last 5 years. Clemson, over the last 5-6 years, has gone in to Miami and gotten the best player they want there, to Tennessee, the best player they want there, Atlanta, the best player there. They've gone into these states and picked the top 1 or 2 players from all these different states. They don't have to rely on their players in South Carolina. Florida State has spent the last 2 or 3 years turning over a roster and building from scratch. They're nowhere near where they need to be from a talent standpoint. So yes, those guys had some guys injured, but overall they're replacing them with other 4 and 5 stars. Plus they got some important guys back yesterday. Nobody seems to want to talk about Shipley being back healthy. I know he came back last week. The defensive tackle, Tyler Davis just came back last week. Nagata came back at wide receiver. Justin Ross played like Justin Ross is supposed to play. I mean, that's the thing to me, and I want to get your thoughts on this one. I talked to Tom and Gene yesterday in the postgame. I didn't think Clemson's offense has been bad this year, but mostly because they've had drop passes and DJ has missed easy throws. Yesterday, I thought he made, for the most part, that was the best I've seen him look in terms of throwing the football. Overall, he didn't look great, but in terms of making some throws, giving guys chances to make plays, he was better than I've seen him in the past. And the receivers didn't have 6 drops like they normally have. So for whatever reason, they played better. And I think Florida State's defense played really well, all things considered. But I don't know, what was your take on that part of it?
Yeah, I think DJ is limited too. I think something is going on between his ears. You're right. He wasn't terrible. He was 19 of 31, 189, whatever that was. I thought they limited him for the most part. I thought Will Shipley was kind of the best player on the field yesterday.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. They had the best running back on the field, the best receiver on the field, the best tight end on the field.
Oh, by far.
And by far the best defensive line. And, they've got Venables coaching against, Kenny Dillingham. And I mean, Venables, that's not to shot at Kenny Dillingham, but Venables has been coaching in national championship games for the last decade. It's a different level.
They got to get better players in here. I thought our linebackers got isolated, which I knew they would. I thought Amari Gaynor played great for a good part of this game, first half of the game. He certainly played very well.
Yeah.
But man, you get these linebackers in coverage, Ira, they're in trouble. And I thought they got a little worn down. I would also say that, going back, Justin Ross looked like a playmaker. It's interesting. I'm probably at the point, and I'm more patient than I was a few years ago. I'm much more patient because I understand the nature of this rebuild, which is sizable. So I don't go into the games expecting miracles. But I will tell you, I don't know, and this is not a personal attack. This is an assessment of his play. I'm about done with Travis Jay. I've had it wrong. I thought eventually the light bulb would come on, and it's just that when he has an opportunity to make plays, he never does. He never does. And what's frustrating about that, I'm sure, for the coaches, is that he's in position. Right. I mean, it's not like he's trailing by 10 yards and that he bites on things and that he's out of position or uses poor technique. But man, he never makes a play on a ball when he has a chance and when he's isolated. That you got to make that play if you're that athletic and that long. I get it. You're going against a tight end. That's a big boy. And he pushed off as he should have. They were letting him play a little bit over there in that corner. But, man, Travis, you got to make a play. And you haven't seen it. So
it's really weird. Like you said, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, and I don't think, I mean, it's not you were wrong. I mean, we all expect him to be that guy. In fact, I mean, I've heard of, coaches of other programs and former coaches who've been out there and seen FSU practice, and they're like, dude, that's an NFL player. There's no doubt in your mind. Yeah. And it's just, I don't want to say it's not competing, but he's a guy who in high school dominated everybody he went against. He played both sides of the ball. He played defense and offense. Wherever he was, he dominated the other players. It's almost like he hasn't adjusted to the fact that those guys on the other side are dominant players too.
Right.
And he's not raising to that level. I don't know what it is, but you're right, Bill. You're not the only one though. I mean, he didn't play after that, I don't think.
Well, I'm tired of seeing him be in position. Your great reward for a corner, if you work hard and you do things right, you play with the right technique and leverage, and you're in a position when the ball goes in the air, your great reward is that you get to make a play on the ball. You get to do something for yourself. You get to. Yeah. That's the hardest thing, and then you find yourself in position, and he just never makes the play. And one of the things that I would say about that is maybe he will someday. I don't know, but they don't have enough weapons at wide receiver. I would love to see him flip to that side of the ball. We've thought about it for weeks. I think he could.
It's funny, man, because before the game, we were watching warmups, and I said to Corey before the game, man, if it doesn't click soon for Travis Jay, they've tried him at corner, they've tried him at safety, then maybe you look at wide receiver, and Corey was like, yeah, either that or put on some weight and make him a rush end, but figure out something to do with him, and then however many minutes into the game, that play happens, and I would move him to wide receiver. I'd let him go out there and see what he could do at the position where we need some playmakers.
I will say a couple of receivers. It was nice to see some receivers, not running backs, make catches. It was good. I mean, that happened yesterday. There were some moments, not a lot.
Jordan Wilson also had some big catches.
Yeah, Jordan Wilson. That's a good point. I've been riding him all year long, and Jordan Wilson actually made some plays. But it was nice to see, Darian Williamson, and obviously you had the 3 catches from Wilson that you just mentioned. Keyshawn Helton, 3 catches. They missed him. He got open on 2 big plays, and those are 2 throws that, boy, that unfortunately Jordan missed. One of them's a first down, and he just throws it behind him back to his left. And the other one's a big play, and maybe you're going to go in and score.
Yeah, and then Pokey on the sideline. Pokey made a great effort, just couldn't get his foot down. That ball could have been thrown a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, from the big picture standpoint, it's complicated because what you're saying is 100% true. Without Jordan Travis and his running ability, they don't beat North Carolina. They may not have any wins. And so that is what they are. But then when you get in these situations, it's not being able to put the ball where it needs to be is magnified, especially when, people have seen other teams have success. That's the thing, I guess, when we were looking at the matchups before the game, and Austin does the matchup preview for our site, and you're looking at edge in each, passing game versus pass defense and all that.
Yeah.
But in this game, I thought there were a couple of matchups that Florida State would have the edge in. I thought they'd be able to throw I thought Clemson's pass defense is not great. I mean, Pitt's shown that. There's some other teams that moved the ball on them through the air, but they just couldn't. They couldn't. I mean, they did. I mean, Jordan threw for 180-something yards or something like that. I mean, they had some success throwing the football, but a lot of it was, it was like at the skin of your teeth. I mean, it wasn't like the offense. It wasn't like the passing game was humming.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was like, man, that was he barely avoids getting sacked and makes a throw.
Yeah. I like this play call here on the screen. I mean, look, this is just this math. All you got to do is you've got this blocked up. You just got to make a play, and they do. That was a good play call down there. You see a lot of teams do that in the NFL these days too, by the way. Thought that was nice. And now we're going to get this little wheel here.
Yeah, that was pretty.
This is a play of the year, partly because of what happens right here, obviously. That was remarkable. Could you tell from the press box, Ira, that he was still up?
I didn't. In fact, when he started getting tackled, I started tweeting that, and then I heard like a noise from the crowd, and I look up and he's still running. I'm like, wait a minute. And I didn't realize how close he was. That part of it, you've seen that before, but how he doesn't go out of bounds there is unbelievable.
Yeah. That little hop. And hey, really, on a day where it's very easy, rightfully, watch this official. He nails this. Watch him. He's looking look at him right there. Watch it. He's like, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Look at his head.
How he doesn't go out of bounds.
That is the best officiating job we've seen because these guys suck balls.
They were bad. Tom, can you run that play one more time? I want to see one thing.
So he's beaten. I love how your boy knows it right off the bat. Now watch this official. He's got it. I got you. I'm watching. Yep, you're up. Oh yeah, come on, let's go, boy. Let's go.
Tom, can you rewind it to when he's at the 10-yard line? Like the 10-yard line. Just humor me here for real quick. Right there. Look at those yellow pants.
Oh, those are great.
Aslan's yellow pants.
Oh my God, my man with the yellow pants.
Because I knew he told me where he was because he was because
he's
of where
right
he's
on it.
Yeah, but he couldn't see him come out of the tackle because there were people standing in his way.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he looks up and he was taking pictures for us. So he was down there on the sideline.
I'm just telling you, look at that official's head down on his feet. Like he's nailing it. That's the best job that he's ever done.
Was he also the guy that threw the PI?
Oh, God, probably. I would also say, man, can we stop with the bullshit in both professional and college football? Like a kid can't do this. He can't do that. We're going to throw that flag. Come on, man. So you're allowed to spike a football.
Well, not in college.
Okay. So you just throw the ball in the air. That is somehow what is that unsportsmanlike? What's
funny is, or not funny at all. But Aslan also being down there on the field, he said when Jermaine realized it, that the flag was on him and that it was going to impact he said he was like despondent. He said he said you could see it in his face how sad and upset he was that he didn't think he did anything wrong probably, but just to know that he would put himself the defensive.
Anything wrong? It's a nonsense rule.
But also but also the idea that he might have done anything to put the team in a bad situation. I mean,
No, I love that
cool.
kid.
Yeah.
There's nothing. We hit a home run in the transfer portal in a way that, I mean, very few teams can claim that they did. I mean, they got a guy who plays that hard, that well, that dominant, and cares that much in his only season that he's going to be here. It's crazy. You know, I remember – I bring this up all the time, not only talking to him before the season, but asking Mike Norvell about how that conversation went and why he, you know, obviously they needed a defensive end. They needed somebody of his talent, his stature to come in here. But he said, well, just talking to him, I could tell right away he'd be one of those guys I could lean into and ask him to help change our culture. Mm-hmm. And he goes, you know, when the first time I ever talked to him about coming to Florida State and getting the opportunity, you know, obviously, you know, I was smitten with his abilities. But once I spoke to him, I realized, oh, I got a guy. I got a dude. I got a guy that's going to help change what we are and how we want to play is the way he thinks and how he prepares. Man, if we could be so lucky to every transfer portal player could be like that. It's not, but I mean, yeah, Florida State fans. Tom and I have talked about this a lot on the Jeff Cameron show this year. Like, I think that Jermaine Johnson, in a weird way, once this thing gets going, he would be welcomed back in the same way that a 3-year starter would. Like, if he came back to campus, people would be like, that guy helped change what we're about.
Yeah, no doubt, 100%. And people, complaining about the officiating. Yeah, the frustrating thing to me about the pass interference was, well, a lot of it, but you know, it wasn't like it was. I mean, it was a bang bang play. I mean, and you could, I guess you could call it. I mean, if you know, I don't know, man. It's just, to me, it seemed very much of a bailout home team call.
Oh yeah, it was a bad call. See, the problem he has, and it stinks, but his head's not turned, and so therefore he thinks that he is on the player,
right?
Like the player's person.
But you're allowed to face guard in college football.
You are, right. But officials, this is something Herb Street's right about, even though I yell every time he says it because you're allowed to face guard.
But he does say it all the time.
He says it all the time. But he's not wrong about this aspect. You're more apt to get the call against you if you don't turn your head, even though the rule in college is that you don't have to. It's just, he's right about that. Officials prove it all the time. So it's frustrating. Hey, so there's something here, special teams.
Yeah.
It starts from the beginning. Now, it's not Papuchis' fault that we kicked the opening kickoff out of bounds, but it's pretty goddamn stupid. And then secondarily, you missed the extra point right off the bat, and that's a low kick. Right off the bat, I'm thinking, oh, this is what we're going to do. The very thing that you can't, all the hidden yards, all the little things you have to get right in this game, and we're going to start by whiffing in special teams, and then we just continued to be bad in special teams all day long, and it's just –
yeah, the punt returns, and Corey ranted about last night on the post game, the wrap. But you know, it starts from the beginning. I mean, Trayshawn just, I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, I guess you give them credit for trying different guys, but on the other hand, Trayshawn Ward probably hasn't returned a punt in a real football game in 3 years. I mean, he hasn't been that guy for Florida State. He didn't even play last year. He probably hasn't done it since high school. And then, you know, on that stage, man, he looked like he wanted no part of messing up.
Right. You can't be scared. Right.
And that's, man, you just can't let that many balls just bounce and roll 25 yards. And
we do it all the time. It's just
no, you're right.
It's all the time. The special teams has been a disaster, and it's really the number one damning thing on the season. If you're going to attack Mike Norvell, I think you would start there, because he's the one who has said repeatedly that special teams would best represent the way they play the game and how important it is to him, because that's where your character is built, and that shows the soul of who you are and all this stuff. And I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but you know, you get the drift. Yeah. He basically said it's the guts. Well, they're terrible on special teams, and I know that's got to eat him up. I'm sure he's more than slightly pissed, because he knows he said that, and I think he actually believes it. So if he does legitimately believe those things, and then he goes out and watches that every Saturday, he's got to be beside himself. I don't think those are comfortable conversations that he's having with Coach Papuchis right now. I will say the defensive ends continue to play well, so Papuchis gets some credit for that, certainly. But special teams, sweet Jesus, man. That is not going to get it done.
And that, the extra point ends up becoming a huge deal because
Yes,
at the end of the
because you get a
game,
touchdown instead of a field
yeah,
goal. Yeah.
exactly. You'd be, now you wouldn't have to do the complete nonsense that they did at the end. Let me ask you one question. People immediately after the game on social media, and I know the people who jump on social media and the message boards, God bless you all. But,
Mm-hmm.
usually those are the people who are going to be the most quick to
Oh, they want to fire
emotionalize.
everybody. Yeah.
But if the last drive hadn't been what it was, would everything have been quite as visceral? Like, do you think just that nonsense of the last play? I mean, the Hail Mary with like 15 seconds left, and then that last play, the
Well, the
abomination that
last
it
play
was.
is whatever it is. I mean, I
But
don't care
but
about the last
I
play,
know, but don't you think that kind of the embarrassment of that is what set more people off?
well, I'm
Because
sure. I think to put it bluntly, a lot of people lost a bunch of money
right, yeah,
on that
yeah,
play, and I'm not even kidding about that. I had a
yeah.
guy screaming at me on Twitter as if I ran that fucking play. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? He's furious, and then I got to the core of it. I realized he lost a bunch of money. It's crazy. I mean, bad beats happen, and when they happen to you, it doesn't feel good. But that's the nature of gambling. Don't be, if you're not a big boy and you can't handle it, then don't do it. But the other thing I would say about that is, I don't care about the last play. I care that when we have to pass and the other team knows we have to pass, we cannot. And so the second that they gave up the lead late and it became obvious you were going to have to throw the ball repeatedly to get anywhere in position to try to make a run at the end zone, to make a play at the end zone, I thought, well, we're dead here. We're dead. Clemson's going to tee off, and that's what it looked like. It looked like a team that doesn't have an option. People would say, well, why can't we draw up this, this, and this? Man, listen, when they know that Florida State has to throw, it's a little bit like even on first down, when you're down to that number on the clock, throw away the downs, they know you're throwing. So they're just pinning their ears and they're saying, we're going to whoop your guys up front. Jordan, good luck. See if you can, and he's trying to buy time. He's trying to do anything he can, but it's not really a scripted sort of play. I mean, you obviously have complementary routes, but when you got to go as far as they had to go and you can't block it up, you're dead. You're dead. And that's what it looks like. It looks like a team that can't really make plays.
But isn't it fair to say that Clemson's uniquely positioned to put Florida State in that situation? Like, I don't know other teams in most games Florida State plays, the way they've run the ball this season, you can get by with what Jordan can do offensively, especially because you get his running game. Now you can set up easy opportunities for him to throw the football, and you can have the offense you saw against North Carolina. Clemson's uniquely positioned, that people have said, to have 3 down linemen. Sometimes they brought extra guys. Sometimes they didn't bring extra guys.
Yeah, they just get in your backfield. Yeah.
And so now
yeah.
you don't have the precision passing game. So you'd like to think that maybe against NC State you can play the way you've been playing. Maybe against Miami, maybe Miami's defense is not very good. Maybe against Boston College, their defense is not very good. And we'll see about Florida. They may be cratering right now. So my point is, like, as bad as it looked offensively yesterday, and especially when they had to pass, that's we may see a different proposition in these last 4 games.
I'd say that Florida State dropping back to pass when it became there we go. Oh. There he is. Steve's like,
rise up. Happy Halloween.
Mm-hmm. No, but when it became evident that Florida State had to pass, we looked a lot like Florida did on first down in the first quarter against Georgia, which was totally screwed from the second it started.
I think Steve's calling for the prize picks.
Yeah, Steve.
Steve is making the call. What do you think, Tom?
Let's throw up those prize picks.
Look at it. Look at that.
Hey, let me do this. Go ahead. Tell the folks about the prize picks, Ira, and I'll let the dog out. Then I'll let everybody know what I'm doing.
Yeah, man. So we've been doing the Sunday Smash now this season. This is a new show we started this season since Jeff came on board. Jeff and Tom came on board with Warchant.com. Sunday Smash is this show that we've started this year, and we've already got a sponsor thanks to Tom Lang and his fine work. And it's PrizePicks.com is the website, and it's a fantasy site. And they do a great job of setting up ways for you to find some entertainment and test your wits. And they set up a lot of different fantasy propositions for you. And Tom's been doing a great job with them on the site. If you look at warchant.com on Fridays, Tom always has his for sporting Noles. He comes up with his the propositions he likes. They come up with a lot of different options. And every week you can pick between 2 to 5 players. And you're just going against the numbers that they put out. You're testing your
Hey, Ira.
Oh,
Let's
Jeff,
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do
you're
one
back.
right now. Tom, go ahead and put up. We're coming up on Sunday Night Football tonight, right? So why don't we do this? You got Sunday and Monday Night Football right there. So tonight's game, Dallas and Minnesota. So for folks at home looking at that, if you're looking at entries, what do you think? Dak Prescott? Well, he may not even play the game. By the way, I do know that if a player doesn't play, then it's non.
It's a scratch.
The game doesn't count. But if I were going to guess and he were healthy, I'd say over 300 yards or 295.5. Kirk Cousins, I'd say under, given Dallas's pass defense this year, in all likelihood. But that's the point. Whatever you would choose, you could do. You could take two, and you look at rush yards. And Tom is flipping through there now. You kind of look at
Dalvin. We got Dalvin in there at 82.5.
Yeah, there we go, Dalvin. Well, you know what? I'm going to go over with Dalvin if he's healthy. And, so this is kind of fun stuff. And Ezekiel, I'll go over barely as well. But you can see, look at all these numbers as Tom's pointing them out. You don't have to pick the winner, or you don't have to pick a player, just a singular stat here. You got receptions, pass touchdowns, rush touchdowns, receiving touchdowns, pass completions. Look at all the options. I see Amari Cooper and Adam Thielen there, who I have on my fantasy team, who's been great this year. So the options are boundless, and I'm looking forward to getting started. I've not done this yet. I've just now learned about it as they've come on board to help sponsor the Sunday Smash. Ira, I know you were telling the folks that, and that's awesome. We want to thank them for doing that. You guys know me as a sporting guy, so I'm going to utilize this service and have a great time with it. I'm going to learn more about it. Actually, I'm scheduled to learn more about it from the people here with PrizePicks tomorrow. Tomorrow I have a scheduled meeting with them, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, we're actually going to make some of our selections, put in some entries going forward during the show, and probably kind of at the end of the show, usually leading into the Sunday night game, we'll make some of our choices, and then people can laud our expertise or laugh at us the following week based on how we did.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a below average weekend for yours truly. Did we get a touchdown there for the Bucks? I think we did. Oh, well, comeback.
Has there been any word on Jameis? I mean, I know it didn't look good.
Some folks on the chat earlier said they were worried that he was gone for the year.
Oh man.
I hope that's not accurate, but I have not. I've had it on mute back there. The Bucks are now trailing 23-21, assuming this extra point goes through, and it does. So this is a big comeback. The Bucks were getting killed 23-7. 2 touchdown drives from Tom Brady. This one to Evans has made it a 2-point game. I don't know. That didn't look good, did it? And I know this. He's as tough as nails. So if he could have moved at all, and he got up and tried to walk and then went straight down.
I mean, especially of all games, he was playing, and he was playing well. I mean, I thought he was
playing well. He was playing well, and when he went down like that and couldn't get back up, I mean, I've seen that guy play through everything. He had a high ankle sprain in his final year in Tallahassee that was unreal that he played through. He had a really bad shoulder injury in his penultimate year in Tampa where he couldn't even barely raise his arm and he still played. He plays a lot of time through injury when he shouldn't. So when he couldn't get up there and walk off the field, the only thing I thought of is, well, that's got to be broken. But I don't know. Do we know what the injury is?
No, I don't know. I mean, I just think it looked like it just got bent back. It just didn't look good. But
yeah. That stinks. Well, listen, I know that most of you are probably going to do something here for Halloween. I'm about to do the same. I think Ira. Yep. I don't know if are you going to do something? Or are you going to hide out? What are you going to do?
We actually have a little fire pit set up in the front yard. We're just going to kind of hang out and give the candy to the kiddies. Might socialize with the neighbors a little bit. It's nice. So looking forward to it.
It's a beautiful evening for it. Everybody have fun. Sorry we did a short version tonight. We did want to check in with you. We've got great coverage all week long on warchant.com and on the Jeff Cameron Show. And you can listen to, obviously, Wake Up Warchant tomorrow morning. And listen, this is an interesting time for Florida State. I think this is a very important game, Ira. I'll just tease this early on. I think this is a very important game coming up for Florida State, 4 o'clock on Saturday. And I am interested to see how well they do. I think they're going to continue to just be, locked in, fight, and they have some things they have to overcome because they're not good enough in a lot of ways, but we're not having to worry about the effort stuff anymore. So let's see if they bounce back. NC State's gettable.
Yeah, and Miss Webb Silver Chief just posted there in the chat. If Tom wants to put that up there, that's something I heard a lot from a lot of people, including Aslan, old Yellow Pants, who's on the sideline.
Yeah, they're fighting.
The way especially like that last series when they went back out there after Jermaine Johnson got the score, they stuff him on the 2 running plays, then they get the sack on 3rd down. The way the defense, the whole team, I mean, the passion is where it needs to be. And that's, some people are gonna say, oh, that's the baseline, it's moral victory, blah, blah, blah. No, man, that hasn't been here in a while. So that is there. Now you get better players. You can kind of keep taking the next step. So
yeah, man, I'm not discouraged. I hate to lose. And I hate it for them because they would have been a big win for them, would have been important. I like this team. I like these kids. In a weird way, you had a lot of new names out there making plays, Ira. We didn't even talk about that. On defense, you had 3 or 4 guys that we haven't heard all year long out there making plays. So now you got more guys coming into the fold. Thanks, Eric, as always. Love it. Thanks for your contributions and your help and your support. Yeah, man, I don't know. Some people probably don't want to hear this, but in some weird way, I'm even more bullish right now on Fuller. I don't think it's his fault right now. I don't think they're declining. I don't think they're getting worse. I think they're getting better.
And I think, but to your point, this week is huge. If you go out there and play well against NC State, then you look back at this game a totally different way than if you go out there and don't play well and lose at home.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, this is huge, Ira. You're right. I don't think we can overstate it. It's really important. Bucks just forced a 3 and out. This momentum has shifted dramatically. So good. Oh, what a shame for the Saints.
I'm shifting it out to the front yard. If you want to come by, we've got plenty of candy.
Buddy. I got to go drive to Southwood. My oldest son is with his 8th grade friends doing something out there. My other son's in a different neighborhood. I'm just trying to be the responsible dad, doing some work and going to pick up the family where they are. So we'll see. All right. Happy Halloween, everybody. Be well. Go Noles. We'll talk to you again next time. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate your work, buddy.
Thanks, Tom. Happy Halloween, everybody.